Greetings everyone, this is Connor from DagoraTV, and in this video we're asking the question, should Bethesda have a voice actor in The Elder Scrolls 6? Okay, so before we quickly get into this episode, I just want to quickly say that all the opinions that I've got from this video is compared to games that are RPGs in the genre, so like Witcher, Dragon Age, Fallout, that all have voice actors in there, and Mass Effect and games like that. And I'm using them as guidance to see whether we would like that in an Elder Scrolls experience. Okay, so the quick answer that I want to give to this question is that they shouldn't, and you probably guessed that from the title of this video. And the main reason for that really isn't with the performances of the voice actors. Like the performances of the voice actors that I've seen in many RPGs, the one I'm going to reference most is Fallout 4 because that is made by the same company. Absolutely fine. There's no problem at all with the performance of the voice actors. They're actually really good and, up there with quality of, some of the best animation films out there and some of the best video games. Top-notch voice actors when they've got there. The problem is, though, is that it limits your options when it comes to dialogue. That's the big problem with having a voice protagonist in there. The main reason for this is because you look at Fallout 3 and games like Skyrim, for instance, where you have lists and lists and lists of options that you can use to reply the appropriate answer to the person that you're talking to. And the reason for that is because they don't have to do the lines of dialogue for every single one of those options. So, for instance, in Fallout 3 on a side quest, you can have up to 10 options at times of lists of going through and reading up, and these are not 1 or 2 word answers, these are long sentences that you can have. Whereas in games like Fallout 4, you only have the 4 options. You've got the 4 buttons as replies to the speeches that are coming to you, which makes it really hard to pick the option that's limited, that's really right for your character that you're building, that you're role-playing as. And it's been a problem for Fallout 4. It was one of my big issues when I was playing it, was that I couldn't pick the option that I wanted, was because there was only 4 there, and sometimes 3 of them were very, very similar. Whereas with games like the original Fallouts, Fallout 1 and 2, which are you've got a huge amount of options, or in Oblivion and Skyrim, when you've got a lot of options where you can get the right one for your character and really roleplay that well. The reason why they cut all these options out is because when the voice actor is saying these into the microphone, they have to say thousands of lines as it is. Especially when it comes to Fallout 4, they have thousands of lines because of the amount of side quests. So as the game developers use to cut time out of this, they cut the numbers of replies that they can have on a lot of the responses to quests and things like that, so that they could really get along with it, because it's going to take a hell of a long time to get the voice actor to say all of the lines that they need to say as it is, not when you've got so many options per random quest. Like if you've got a side quest in Fallout 4 that could have up to 12 replies, and then they've got to say all of those for one little part of a side quest, it's going to take a long time, especially when you do retakes and things like that. All the time adds up. As an example that I can really bring up is the 2 voice actors in Fallout 4 in an interview on GnM for the Shoddycast said that they was really voice acting for 4 years, doing lines over and over again to get them right into the right place. Another point that I want to bring up is that this is really good, having a voice actor in games like Mass Effect and The Witcher. It's really good in those kind of games because you are role-playing that character. You are role-playing Shepard in Mass Effect. You are role-playing Geralt in The Witcher. But in the Elder Scrolls series, you're playing the character that you create, and that's not really given to you in the voice that they were going to given to you, say for instance with Fallout 4. The character that you created may not suit the voice that voice actor had in that game. And the thing that I want to say about The Witcher and Mass Effect is that you have options that are that could have a little bit of leeway for you to make choices about the characters, but they're still within that personality of the character that you're playing. Whereas in Skyrim, for instance, there's no real limit of what you can portray. You've got the options on the screen. You could be a douchebag, you could be cocky, you could be the hero. There's so many different options that you can go by, and you can really roleplay that really well in games like Skyrim. But with Fallout 4, if you really wanted to play a bad guy, it is very, very difficult. It's near enough impossible, because the options aren't always there. Even the bad options, where you're trying to stand like a little bit like a douchebag, they just sound a bit snarky, and that's not really what you want. You want to roleplay your character. Another problem I want to say with Fallout 4 that I've kind of touched upon so far is that you only have 1 voice for the women and 1 voice for the men, which is no way in hell enough. I mean, it was a great voice that the 2 of them did, but it's not enough. It's definitely not enough if you want to play. Say if you want to play, you imagine your character having a real Cockney accent in Fallout 4. Impossible. Reason being, because you've only got that one voice that's this American person. So it's hard to get what you really want it to be. And I know in games like Dragon Age, there is a lot of choices to get the right voice that you really want to have. But at the end of the day, there's still not going to be able to get all the voices that you really want to have. And some people, when they go to roleplay, have some serious imagination when it comes to the voices of their character. And you're never going to be able to touch on all the possible voices unless some incredible advancements in pitch alteration and technology by the time the next Elder Scrolls game comes out, which is very unlikely. I will say though, even though it's key that this isn't in the Elder Scrolls 6, I highly doubt that we will have a voice protagonist in there. The main reason for that being is because there's 10 playable races in the Elder Scrolls series. That's coming from Skyrim. So if you're going to carry these 10 races across to Elder Scrolls 6 and not add any more, which could happen, if you're just going to keep these 10 races, you're going to have to do these accents 10 times, because these races have very distinct accents. Like a Khajiit voice is different to a High Elf voice, which is different to a Nordic voice, which is different to an Argonian voice, all of which are different. So you've got to do them 10 times over, and then again, 2 times again, because you've got 2 different genders. So that means you're going to have to go over the lines 20 times over because of all the different races and genders. So if Bethesda were going to be doing this, it's very easy to assume that they were naturally going to cut out thousands and thousands of lines, because in reality it's going to take so long to get 20 voice actors to come in and do it, or to get the similar voice actors to do it 20 times over. It's going to take an enormous amount of time. So naturally things are going to get cut. And the more the options get cut, the harder it is to roleplay a character, which is a known thing and treasured thing for a lot of Elder Scrolls fans. So you really see where I'm getting here. The more that's cut, the harder it is to roleplay, and that's a negative thing of having the voice actor in there. Plus as well, Bethesda are always known for cutting corners with voice actors, especially when it comes to NPCs, as how many times did we meet that person in Skyrim, that Nord in Skyrim, that had the exact same voice all the way through. Same in Oblivion, they only had one voice actor for Nordic women in the whole game of Cyrodiil, and that's really, again, to just get it over and done with as quick as they can, where if you pay, they give them little details, go further and further into that to add to the immersion of the game, because it's really an immersion break when every Nord has got the same voice. Yes, they should have similar accents, but not the same voice. Perfect example of this is with the Witcher series, with the Nilfgaardian Empire. All the people and the soldiers have that Polish accent to them, that Eastern European accent, but when you talk to them, there's different voice actors along the way. They've got a different tone of voice. Even if it's the same voice actor, make them sound a little bit different. Don't just give them the same lines to each person, because it's just really an immersion break. And finally, what I want to say is really going to my opinion right now. If Bethesda wants to do this for Elder Scrolls 6, have a voice actor in there, it would be a massive mistake in my opinion, because of the effects that are coming from it. In an ideal world, it would be huge lists of dialogue responses, the amount that we get in the first 2 Fallout games, for instance, a huge amount of responses that are all voice acted, and we could have the infinite amount of voices that we want to get the perfect voice for our character. But this isn't going to happen anytime soon, not until we have some huge amounts of advancements in that kind of technology, which I don't see happening before the next Elder Scrolls game. I really hope that they stay away from the voice protagonist, so that personally I can play the character that I want to play and you can play the character that you want to play, which is very, very different, completely different. And it's a good thing, for other RPGs to include this, as I've said, as we're role-playing those characters, but in our Elder Scrolls game, we're playing what we want to play, and Bethesda should avoid this for Skyrim, and they've got a lot of flack about it for Fallout 4. And again, at the same time, that's really a game where you've got really 2 times you've got to do them through the male and the female voice. And yes, they could do more and more variety to it, which would make it a lot better for someone like me, because it was really jarring for me and something I didn't like. But it's much more acceptable in that kind of setting than an Elder Scrolls game. If they was just going to use 2 voices for the Elder Scrolls game for the entire races, and you're playing as a Khajiit with that voice, the same voice as a High Elf, it would be a huge lore break, and it would be really, for me, really jarring and disappointing. Something that could possibly make me not really get myself invested in the game as much. That'd be a massive disappointment for someone like me. If they was going to do the voice acting and keep up all the options, which is not going to happen, because it's really nigh on impossible. If you want an Elder Scrolls game to come out every 20 years, then you could maybe do it, but it's going to take a huge amount of time for the amount of content that you've got in these games to be able to do that. And I just don't really personally see Bethesda go to the lengths to do that. So I think it will be a much wiser decision for Bethesda to not do that, keep the text-based system that they've got, and really add to the, the wealth of content. Concentrate on other things more than having a voice protagonist for yourself. Add to other areas of the game that are really more important. This isn't something that needs to be improved. This is something that we've got right. Add to the voice actors of the NPCs, for instance, but not to the main protagonist of the game. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed the video, and please also leave your comments for what you really want to see about for the Elder Scrolls 6 when it comes to voice protagonists. Would you want that? If you do want that, why would you want it? Did you like it in Fallout 4 that much? Have you enjoyed it in other games? If you don't want it, give me your reasons of why you don't want it in Elder Scrolls 6. I love to answer all your comments. I answer every single comment that I get on my videos, so please leave your comments. Also, I'm back now, so yeah, I was away in London for a weekend, so I didn't get videos out for quite a long period of time, so for that 5 days, and I didn't get an Elder Scrolls video out last week, but we're back to normal now, and there'll be an Elder Scrolls video out every week. It's going to be increasing, things like that. If you're an Elder Scrolls fan, keep looking at my Twitter, because there's going to be a special announcement coming within the next few weeks of a new series that's going to be coming up on the channel concerning Elder Scrolls. Also, as well, please subscribe to check out my other content. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones, I cover Game of Thrones Season 6, I'm covering that. I'm also got more and more Elder Scrolls videos coming out in the near future, always adding, always increasing, and they're getting a bit of momentum now. They're starting getting more and more views, and I'm very happy for the support that I'm getting for these videos, and I really enjoy what I'm getting, and I really thank you for the support that I'm getting on this. Once again, thanks a lot for watching. Please like the video, follow me on Twitter at DagoraC, and subscribe. Thank you.